This series is designed to give you a set of tools, of reliable and effective tools to reduce stress and to create neurological balance. Each class will consist of a guided process led by Chuck Moshontz, whom I am honored to teach with. And then there will be a Feldenkrais lesson, which will access the inherent neuroplasticity of your brain, of each of our brain, to help you to change or interrupt habitual patterns that may be connected to anxiety and to restore yourself to a state of neurological equilibrium. That'll be the structure of each class over the next 5 weeks after today. That being said, I would like to turn things over to Chuck, who will introduce himself and guide us. And again, I'm very honored to be with you today.
Thank you, David. Obviously, I'm honored to be part of this as well. Taken many of your Feldenkrais classes in person and online, and I know what a wonderful teacher you are. It's great to see so many lovely people from all over the world here this morning. So welcome to all of you. My name is Chuck Moshontz. I'm a psychotherapist with 20 plus years experience. I have a long history with Feldenkrais owing to my lifelong friendship with David. We've been friends for 57 years, actually. And so since the mid 80s, I've been aware of and practicing and working with Feldenkrais. And I've been practicing mindfulness and meditation for 25 years or so. Also very nervous doing this. So just to name that, so it helps to settle me in a little bit better, to name things just as they are. And I'd like to say just a few words about how I'm thinking about my part in this. In Feldenkrais lessons, of course, an ongoing, repeated instruction over and over again ad nauseum is to reduce effort, not try so hard, not try to accomplish so much, all of which really points to me to something about how much unnecessary effort we're expending, not just doing Feldenkrais lessons, but all the time, trying so hard to be good, to get it right, to do it better. It kind of comes with the territory, it seems, at least in the West, of being a human being. So from a Western developmental point of view and from my own experience as a humanistic psychotherapist, I've come to believe that we enter the world with what the poet Robert Bly calls 360-degree radiance. We are just alive in all directions. We come into the world with bodies full of vitality that want to laugh and cry and shout and run and sing and dance and express life. And we pretty quickly learn in our families and the world in which we're born, nobody's fault, nobody trying to do anything to harm us, but in order to get along, we learn pretty quickly to tamp it down, to tone it down, to rein it in, to walk, not run, to sit still, to don't laugh so loud, don't cry. And we come to see or believe that our fundamental impulses and spontaneity are out of step with the people whose love and protection we absolutely need for our physical survival and our psychological survival as well. So we do shut it down. And the parts of us that aren't acceptable to our little worlds that we are brought up in get cut off and disavowed, walled in, locked out. And of course, the primary mechanism of restraint is our bodies, and it sets a course for the rest of our lives. We tighten up, we contract, we seize control to stay under control, and we lose that fundamental vitality and sense of joyful aliveness. So obviously, with a course like this, we're seeking to undo some of that. So mindfulness. The embodied inquiries that we'll be doing together will have a couple of themes. One, of course, is subtler and subtler awareness of what actually is going on in our bodies that we have numbed ourselves to or contracted against. Paying closer and closer attention to this experience of being alive in our bodies. The second embodied mindful theme is a little bit sneaky. It's a secret. I'll tell you the secret. It'll be develop mindfulness of the attitudes that we have taken in about ourselves and our own experience, and to see if becoming mindful of potentially unfriendly, impatient, aggressive, unkind attitudes we have towards ourselves, we can begin to relax that and uncontract not only our bodies, but our attitudes, and become friendly and kind and patient and gentle with ourselves, mindful of how we treat ourselves. I want to start off with a poem. As I read the poem, just see if you can take the words in, take the ideas and thoughts in with your bodies. So I would like you now to sit comfortably, as you will for the duration of the guided mindfulness practice. If sitting is not comfortable for you, for whatever reason, please feel free to lie on your bed or on a mat or whatever position works for you. I'd also suggest it might be helpful to get in touch with your own experience, to close your eyes, again, if that's comfortable for you. So the poem that I'm going to read now is called If You Knew. If You Knew. The poet is Ellen Bass. If you knew. What if you knew you'd be the last to touch someone? If you were taking tickets, for example, at the theater, tearing them, giving back the ragged stubs, you might take care to touch that palm, brush your fingertips along the lifeline's crease. When a man pulls his wheeled suitcase too slowly through the airport, when the car in front of me doesn't signal, when the clerk at the pharmacy won't say thank you, I don't remember they're going to die. A friend told me she'd been with her aunt. They just had lunch, and the waiter, a young gay man with plum black eyes, joked as he served the coffee, kissed her aunt's powdered cheek when they left. Then they walked half a block, and her aunt dropped dead on the sidewalk. How close does the dragon's spume have to come? How wide does the crack in heaven have to split? What would people look like if we could see them as they are? Soaked in honey, stung and swollen, reckless, pinned against time. And just take a moment to allow that all to settle in your body. Notice how and where you might be feeling it, what the experience might be. Without judgment, without trying to change anything, just let it settle on you. And now as you sit or lie, let's feel into the experience of being in the body right here, the only place in the world your body is right now. Take a moment to feel the support under your rear end, any support that you might have behind your back or under your feet. And maybe use that support to relax, just to allow any muscles that might be doing any unnecessary work to relax, to let go as you settle in. And as you sit quietly in stillness, I'd like to talk about all the movement that actually is going on in your body right now. So what's moving? On the most obvious level, I'd like to direct your attention to your breath. Moving in and out. All the movement required to accomplish and accommodate your breath. Moving in, moving out. Notice your chest and stomach expanding, contracting. Your ribs are moving. Each rib hinged by a joint to your spine, allowing the ribs to move and expand and contract. As you breathe in and out, your shoulder blades might be moving away from one another and then closer to one another. Just take a moment and see if you can notice if that's happening, or if you can notice that it's happening. Notice, does your spine move as you breathe? Maybe just millimeters, maybe just fractions of an inch. The curves of the lower spine and neck increasing, decreasing. Stay with that. Trust that your spine actually is moving with each breath in and out. And if that is so, it can be felt with patience and attention. It may take some time to notice subtle movements that happen with every breath all the time. Don't force anything. See if you can allow these subtle, small movements of your spine as you breathe to emerge into your awareness, like a Polaroid picture, maybe, slowly developing into something, oh, clear, oh, yes, there it is, oh, I see that. Maybe notice if there's any feelings of impatience with trying really hard to feel something. Maybe frustration with not feeling what I'm pointing out. If you're not feeling something, that's not a problem. Not knowing how to do something is part of the process of learning how to do something. Not feeling something is part of the process of learning how to feel something. Listen to your body with an interest and curiosity. As you breathe, notice the movement of your neck and throat expanding with each in-breath. Notice it relaxes with each exhale. Each breath in, the neck expands, widens, fills with air. You can almost imagine a frog, throat inflating. Notice the air of each breath in and out. This is subtle, passing through the sinus cavities. Can you feel the air in the sinus cavities in your cheeks? Above your eyes, with each breath, cooler air moving inside of our face, everywhere in our bodies. Can you imagine feeling your skin moving as the stomach and chest, and back, shoulders get bigger and smaller with each breath. Your skin, after all, isn't just a coat of paint. It's a living organism. It's doing more than just going along for the ride on top of your muscles. It's flexible, it's pliable, it's elastic. Your skin is expanding and contracting all the time. Can you feel your way into your skin actually moving as you breathe? Let's go a little subtler. And again, maybe this is about just using your imagination, not worrying about whether you can actually feel or do you know if you're really feeling it. Use your imagination. You know that blood is circulating through your arteries and veins all the time. Is it possible to feel the blood flowing in your arteries and veins? Now, if you could feel it, if you could imagine feeling it, it wouldn't be a steady whoosh. It would be a pulsing with each beat. Your blood would be whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. When you were an infant and every sensation was new and noticeable and got your attention and was interesting, could you have felt the blood flowing through your circulatory system then? And if you could have felt that sensation when it was new, when you were new, the sensation we're so used to now that we don't even notice it, could we notice it now if we paid close enough attention? Maybe one could more easily feel the blood pulsing in the temples, the sides of the head, maybe at the crook of the elbow, maybe the carotid artery sending blood from the heart up to your head through your neck. Can you feel blood flowing, pulsing in your feet? Maybe not. It's okay. But is it possible with enough patience and stillness that you can? Maybe now, maybe next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, as you learn how to feel your way in. Now, total imagination here. Can you feel the movement of your cells? Okay, a little ridiculous. Can you feel the movement of your cells? Total imagination. You've seen video of cells dividing, splitting, moving, interacting with one another. Busy beehives, traffic jams, log jams of cells moving and doing their work, bringing nutrients, repairing damage, carrying off waste. Can you actually feel the movement in your body at a cellular level, quiet enough to really sense that? Perhaps as you tune into the imagined activity of your endlessly busy cells like this, maybe what you're feeling is a sense of aliveness or energy all over the body. Wherever you bring your attention to your body, you bring aliveness to that place in your body. Good. Good. I'd like to invite you now to stay in touch with right where you're at right now. And then I'm going to turn things over to David. Thank you all for your wonderful attention throughout this. And now David will lead the Feldenkrais lesson.
Thank you, Chuck. Please find a place on the floor, on a rug, on a mat, where you can lie down. somewhere where you have, let's say, an arm's width of room on either side of yourself. And as you lie on your back, and if you need any kind of pillow or something behind your knees, you can certainly use something. Your comfort is essential, is a priority. You can have your knees bent if you need to. And now just slowly take a moment to observe your contact with the floor. For example, if one side of your pelvis is leaning against the floor a little more than the other side, or if one side of your pelvis feels wider or narrower than the other, and your lower back, just observe the contact of your lower back with the floor in a non-judgmental sort of way. Just feels one side of your lower back closer to the floor or further away from the floor than the other. And now slowly move your attention up your spine, just observing where you can feel your spine lying on the floor, lying in contact with the floor, and where you feel that there's an absence of contact. But you feel yourself as you can today, this morning, this evening, this afternoon. You can feel there's certain places, say, for example, in the middle of your back, that are clearly making contact with the floor. And then if you move your attention upwards, you can feel that in the behind your neck, there's a little space. And then there's your right shoulder blade. And you can feel the contact with the floor of your right shoulder blade. And then there's your left shoulder blade. Feel, which shoulder blade would you say is more in contact or less in contact with the floor? Good. And now slowly lie on your right side and lie on your right side with your knees drawn up. That's right. And your right arm long. So that means that if you can, put your right ear on your right arm and stand your left hand on the floor in front of yourself and draw up your knees so your knees are more or less perpendicular to yourself. That's right. Now, your right palm is facing the ceiling. As I said, your right ear lying on your right arm. Now, if that's uncomfortable for you, it may be. It may be that you've had a shoulder injury and it's hard. So see if you can put your right arm a little bit in front of your head, and if that can be comfortable. And as I said before, you can put a little cushion under your head. We're going to do something interesting. I would like you to begin to make a small movement of your right hand, a small movement of your right hand where you open your hand a little, meaning that you stretch out the fingers a little bit, and then you close your right hand, but not really closing it. In other words, not making a fist, but you open your right hand so your palm is open, and then you bring your fingers toward your palm without squeezing your hand, without making a fist. And you do that slowly, very slowly. You do that opening movement like you've seen slow motion film of a flower opening. Think of that you very slowly open your hand, and then you very slowly close your hand, but without really closing it. Maybe your thumb comes near to your fingers, your four fingers come close to your thumb, and then you open your hand. So it's as if this movement of opening and closing your hand like a flower, it's effortless. You do it slowly, you do it easily, you do it not in sync with your breathing, or maybe it's in sync with your breathing now and then, but it's just something that can very slowly happen in the background. You breathe simply. You don't need to coordinate your breathing with the movement of the hand. And you do the movement of your right hand so lightly that you almost feel that the effort is so little that the sense of effort almost disappears. And now, as you continue doing that, would you very slowly move your eyes to the left as if you wanted to see toward the ceiling, toward your ceiling? So again, your right arm is, if not in a line with your head, it's just in front of your head, just where you can lie the arm comfortably, but as high up as possible. That's right, and more or less straight. And as you continue that slow movement of opening, but not totally opening, not completely stretching your hand, and closing, but not really closing your hand, you turn your head and eyes a little bit to the left, and then you come back. So that's the idea. And it'll be the idea as we go along, that you can do that movement of turning your head and eyes without interrupting the movement of your hand. And I might even say without influencing the movement of your right hand. So the movement of your right hand is very slow. That's right, just what's easy. And then you very slowly turn your head and eyes toward the ceiling and come back. That's right. Now, let your head rest, but continue the movement of your right hand and make a very small movement of moving your left hip a little backwards, but slowly, not in a rushed way, not in a hurried way. The more you can relax your abdomen, you'll see the easier that movement of your pelvis will be. But again, the idea is that the movement of your right hand is taking place in the background. And see if you can move your left hip a little backwards as you exhale. That's right. Just what's easy. And see if you can do the movement of your pelvis not in sync with the movement of your hand. So some of you, each time you open the hand, you're moving the pelvis backwards. See if the movement of the pelvis can be slow enough that you maybe open and close your right hand 2 or 3 times as you're moving your left hip backwards. Just continue with that opening and closing of your hand. And again, turn your head and eyes a little bit toward the ceiling. Just feel if something feels a little lighter in your neck, your head, the movement of your eyes toward the ceiling. That's good. Now, rest your head on your right arm. And now make a very small movement of lifting your left knee a little bit toward the ceiling. Just slowly, maybe 3 inches. You lift your left knee away from your right knee. But now this is more challenging than turning the head or moving your left hip backwards. But see if you can do that without interrupting the opening and closing of your hand. So your left foot stays on your right foot. That's right. And your breathing is easy. Your breathing is simple. That's right. And you lift your left knee away from your right knee. That's it. And relax your abdomen, your jaw, your throat. That's right. And now let your left knee rest on your right knee and see if something is a little, I don't know, simpler about turning your head and eyes toward the ceiling. How is it that your head weighs less, you could say? How is it that your neck is turning more easily? Good. Now try something interesting. Lift your left knee away from your right knee and turn your head and eyes to look at the ceiling at the same time. Slowly. It's difficult to understand that we're not doing an exercise. You'll see the person who actually does only 3 or 4 movements, but slowly, will have a much bigger change than someone doing a fast, repetitive movement. That's right. Because it's when we do the movement slowly that your brain has the opportunity to sense and feel what you're doing. Go slowly. Feel where you can reduce the effort in your throat, in your stomach. Can you see the ceiling? In other words, is your head turning in such a way that the back of your head is facing the floor and not the wall behind you? You feel slowly. There's no need for any effort in your left arm, your left hand. Good. And now rest your left knee on top of your right. And just go back to that first movement that we did with the opening and closing slowly, lightly of your right hand. And just turn your head and eyes toward the ceiling and feel. Is that the same as it was 15 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago? Or somehow the movement of your neck easier? Now, see if you can make a little smiling movement with the left side of your face, as if you wanted to only smile with one side of your mouth, as if there's a little string between your lips, the corner of your lips on the left side of your mouth, and your left ear. And that string pulls on the corners of your mouth, the left corner of your mouth, and you smile. It makes the pulling of the string results in that smiling movement, which of course doesn't interfere at all with the opening and closing of your hand. That's right. And doesn't interfere at all with your breathing, because it's just that little smiling movement from the left side of your mouth. That's right. And now, as you do that, lift your left knee away from your right knee and see if you can slowly, see if you can connect that smiling movement from the left side of your mouth to the lifting of your left knee. But of course, in the background, all the time is that movement of gently opening and closing your right hand. And now see if, as you smile and as you lift your left knee, you feel, can you turn your head and eyes toward the ceiling? Just slowly, just what's easy, feeling where you can reduce the effort, where you can give up. That's right. Where you can give up trying to accomplish something, trying to achieve something. Slowly. You see, your brain needs the time to feel what you're doing. It's your right hand that's opening and closing. Good. And please stop and please lie on your back. And take a moment to observe if something feels different about the way that the right side of your upper back is lying on the floor, the right side of your chest, the right side of your face compared to the left, the right side of your neck. You'll find that you might feel a little bit like a Picasso cubist painting. The one side of your face feels different from the other. One shoulder is lying more fully, more completely on the floor. One side of your upper back maybe feels wider than the other. And just observe the movement of your lower abdomen as you inhale. Notice, is one side of your lower abdomen expanding more than the other? You just feel, maybe put your hands on your lower abdomen and observe, is one side getting larger than the other? Or does one side of your lower abdomen feel softer than the other? And now, as you're there with your hands on your lower abdomen, feel your right hand compared to your left hand, do they feel identical? Or does one hand feel softer than the other or larger than the other? You feel. A basic supposition of this class series is that our brain is attracted to feeling better. In other words, that what we're doing by doing the movements slowly, making them small, we're speaking directly to our brain in the language that our brain understands best. That's movement done in a kindly, sympathetic, non-punitive way, in a non-judgmental way. Please lie on your left side. Put your left ear on your left arm, or your left arm just in front of your head if you have a hard time bringing your left arm all the way up. And turn your left arm so your palm is facing the ceiling. And just begin that very slow opening and closing. That's not really a stretch in the opening, and it's not really a closing, and it's slow. Maybe you inhale and exhale a couple of times per movement of your hands. We're not counting how many times we open and close the left hand. We just want it there in the background in such a simple way. And draw up your knees so they're perpendicular to you. That's right. And now just do that first movement of turning your head a little bit to the right. The moment that you feel that the quality of the movement changes, you come back and you rest for a moment, and then you do that again. You just slowly turn your head and eyes to the right with your eyes open or your eyes closed. It doesn't matter. You only turn the head the little bit that feels completely absent of effort. Almost has the same quality, you could say, as that movement of opening and closing the left hand. And your breathing is simple, your breathing is easy. And now rest your head and slowly just move your right hip a little backwards. That's all. It's simple. You're not in a hurry, only moving your hip a little backwards. See if you can do it slowly enough. You open and close your hand 2 or 3 times while you're doing that movement of your pelvis backwards. It's not really only your right hip going backwards. Begin in your lower back and you feel, oh, yeah, the vertebra, the lumbar vertebra, meaning the vertebra of my spine in my lower back, they're turning a little bit. I feel the movement there. And maybe you move your attention up a little bit and you still feel that movement of your right hip backwards. You rest between each movement. The rest between each movement is actually more important than the movement itself. It means that each time I move my right hip backwards, my attention is fresh, as if I'm doing the movement for the very first time. continue with that opening and closing that's not really an opening and not really a closing of your left hand, and turn your head and eyes to the right again and see, is something a little lighter, a little easier about turning your head? Just slowly. And now move your right hip a little backwards as you turn your head and eyes. Go slowly. And then you'll feel, oh, I can feel my spine is moving from the top of my head to my tailbone, all the way down. That's it. And my chest is turning a little bit. And just feel where you can relax your abdomen. That's right. Very good. Rest a moment, but without stopping the opening and closing of your left hand. You feel that your hand opens a little slowly and then closes, but only closes to the extent that your fingers come toward your thumb comes toward your fingers, not more than that. It's not necessary. Our hands take up proportionally more room in our brain than any other part of ourselves. And so, if you can just make that movement of your left hand slow and small and simple, you'll see that it doesn't take long, that it changes the entire organization of our brain and brings us into what I was calling a more neurologically harmonious state. And now slowly, without interrupting the movement of the left hand, lift your right knee away from your left knee, leaving your right foot. We're interested in the quality of what we're doing. At the very beginning, I said we're going to be speaking to the inherent neuroplasticity of our brain, because in fact, our brain is our best ally. Our brain is on our side and wants to improve emotionally, muscularly, in whatever regard you want to think about it. Your brain is on your side. But it has to have the opportunity to sense and feel. And now a few times, go ahead and see if you can integrate turning your head and eyes as you lift your right knee. That's right. And you can begin to feel you're rolling a little bit backwards. Not because you intend to or want to, but just from that lifting of your knee, your right hand is still standing on the floor, and turning your eyes toward the ceiling. That's it. Without changing, without speeding up the movement of your left hand, without ceasing the movement of your left hand. Good. Now, rest your right knee on top of your left. And now, slowly, think of that smiling movement as if you could smile with just one side of your face. Just slowly, slowly. And as you make that smiling movement, from the right side of your face, from the right corner of your mouth, that as if the right corner of your mouth can go closer to your right ear. And you can feel that your right eye makes a smiling movement. That's right. And you can feel that when you do that, your right nostril actually opens a little bit just from making that smiling movement. That's it. And now slowly begin to lift your right knee again and see if you can make that smiling movement. That's right. And lift your knee and turn your head. You feel how you're beginning to drift backwards. Your head maybe comes a little bit off your left arm. That's fine. That's right. And feel how the right side of your chest is opening up. That's it. See what happens if you take your tongue and push it against the inside of your right cheek as you turn to the right. You feel how taking your tongue to the inside of your right cheek, that's right, actually helps your head to turn. You have millions and millions of years of evolution on your side, helping you to feel better. Just doing the movement slowly without a desire to do anything, without a desire to accomplish anything, in itself is enough to change the state of your nervous system. And now keep doing that and see if you can slowly, without stopping the movement of opening and closing your left hand, see if you can allow yourself to roll onto your back. Just slowly. That's right. Now, can you roll onto your back and then return? That's really complicated. See if you can return to lying on your left side without, that's right, you do so little, the movement is so small that it doesn't interrupt your left hand. It's not a simple thing at all. That's right. Go slowly. You roll backwards. That's easy. But then how to organize yourself to roll forward? What if you were told that you could take 5 minutes to come back onto your left side? If there isn't the urgency of time, well, then there's no need to stiffen the left hand. You feel that? If you take your time and don't be concerned with achieving something, don't be concerned with, oh, I must roll onto my left side in 1 minute or 2 minutes. That's right. As if you were almost in your sleep and rolling onto your side without stiffening anything, without stiffening your stomach or your face or your jaw. That's right. That's right. Very good. Of course, you feel the right hand has to come away from the floor and the right arm goes behind you. That's right. Good. Lie on your back for a moment. And just observe now the left side of your upper back. And put your hands on your lower abdomen and feel. Is the left side of your abdomen expanding in a way that's different from before we laid on our left side? And feel the left side of your neck. In the living of life, we can't avoid stress. We can't avoid difficulty. We can't avoid being hurt. But we can have the ability to return our nervous system to a state of equilibrium. You can't avoid stress, but the problem is not some momentary stress. It's how we become fixed. We develop a habituation to the stress. And here you feel, and I don't know what it's been, 35, 40 minutes. Feel the contact of your lower back with the floor. Is that different than when we started? Your spine, your breathing. And now lie on your left side and put your left ear on your left arm. And go ahead and resume that opening and closing of your left hand, just slowly in the background. It's almost like just creating this little breeze with that movement of your hand. You don't care about closing it. You don't care about fully opening it. It's not an exercise. And now slowly begin to allow yourself to turn your head and eyes and roll backwards. And then when you come to lying on the floor, you begin to stretch your right arm, to lengthen your right arm upwards, and begin to open and close your right hand, and see if you can organize yourself slowly without interrupting the movement of your hand to lie on your right side. But again, there's an abeyance of time. You're not concerned with what anyone else is doing, only finding, can you even roll halfway to the right, but without unnecessarily tightening yourself. Both Chuck and myself have spoken about having a kindly, benevolent relationship to ourselves. And the ways that we hurry ourselves, the ways that we contract ourselves in anticipation of difficulty are deeply, deeply ingrained in us. But you find that if you just do what's easy, just what's simple, in fact, each moment in turning to the right or turning to the left, your concern is, where can you do less? You hardly have the intention to roll. Your intention is to feel where you can relax yourself. One hand is opening and closing, That's right. If you're rolling to the right, your right hand is opening and closing. If you're rolling to the left, your left hand is opening and closing. That's right. And the other arm comes over your face. That's right. As you roll. But it takes 2 minutes to roll onto your side. The difficulty is confusing what we're doing with all that you know about exercise, all that you've been taught by your teachers, your classes, your society. You think you need to go quickly. Do you have another choice? Can you go slowly? What if you weren't in a hurry? What if you weren't trying to accomplish something or do more? Would you take longer to roll? The opening of the hand and the closing of the hand are slow. They're slow, not quick. Slow. All right. Please lie on your back. Please lie on your back and just put your hands on your lower abdomen and just take a moment to feel that movement of your abdomen as you inhale, and observe the width of your upper back, the contact with the floor of your spine. Do you remember that little smiling movement we were doing? And slowly bend your knees. And very slowly roll to your side and come to sitting, and then come to standing. Can you come to sitting and standing and just feeling where can you do less? Less effort, less intention. That's right. Can we use our awareness? Can we use our attention to actually change some of these very old, lifelong habits that are so deeply ingrained in ourselves as ways to compensate for the ways that we grew up not feeling as if we were good or complete. Of course you're good. Of course you are. And of course you're complete. But all that stuff got ingrained in us. And just feel where you can relax your abdomen, your jaw, your chest. Do your hands feel different than when we started? Good. So I would just like to take a moment to say thank you to Chuck, and thank you to you for coming, taking your time, and being here with us together. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
It was a pleasure being here and teaching with you, and thank you to all the participants in today's class. I look forward to the next 5 weeks.